Hello family, I hope you're well. I'm sending you love, so much love from Bali. It's nearly 10 a.m. here. I'm chilling. I just finished my morning matcha / cacao, chilling with Ari right here. Ari baby, my little gummy bear. I'm gonna read my book after I do this live and then maybe get in the pool. I think I'll get in the pool after and do a little workout in the sun. Maybe I'll read my book. I don't know, we'll see how I feel. The reason I've hopped on here today, I was inspired to come on here and just inquire with you what it is that you so desire in your life. And maybe you've already thought about this, right? Which is great. This is great. You're on a great trajectory. And if you haven't, then this is a sign and this is an encouragement to really think about what it is that you want. Not what it is that you don't want. And the reason that I say this is because the way that I personally used to operate before I started to consciously create my life was by focusing on the things that I didn't want. And I've since learned, and when I first learned about this, I zoomed out of my situation and I laughed at myself because I had created the shit show that I found myself in when I first started my journey in 2017, because my focus was primarily on what I didn't want, what I didn't like. I don't like that, I don't want that, don't do this, blah, blah, blah. So of course I created that because where focus goes, energy flows. So when we're focusing on what we don't want, we're just going to create more of that. It's law, right? So this is why it's really important that we focus on what we do want. Now, at first, this really takes conscious thinking and conscious action. What do I mean by conscious? I mean that we approach our thoughts and the way in which we operate with self-awareness. We're very aware with what's going on. And when we first start this journey, maybe you've already started, which is amazing. If you have, congratulations. And if you haven't, that's okay. We all start from somewhere. Most of the time we're operating and moving through life from a very unconscious way of being. And when I say unconscious, I don't mean asleep or fainted. I mean we're not aware of the thoughts that we're actually thinking and how that is really affecting our life, and also the words in which we're saying. So when we start to become aware of the way in which our internal landscape is operating, firstly with our mind, we become aware of the thoughts that we're thinking. And if we notice ourselves, I don't want that, I don't like that, and judging people and all of these negative thoughts, right? Remember, where focus goes, energy flows, right? And what we put out, we get back. So if we're focusing on what we don't want, if we're focusing on what we don't like, if we're judging people, if we're insulting people, even if we're not saying it, if it's happening in our mind, eventually that's going to come right back around to us in some which way or another. Doesn't necessarily need to come from them. It can come from someone else and somewhere else, right? This is very, very important to remember. And this is why it's really, really important that we're aware of the way in which we're speaking to other people, and that we learn how to lower our ego, which is in our minds, and really land into our heart, which is where compassion and empathy is, right? And we can best do that for other people when we first do that for ourselves. So when we start this journey of conscious life creation, of moving towards what it is that we want, we notice in our minds that a lot of the time we're focusing on what we don't want, and we're thinking about what we don't want, what we don't like, and all of that stuff, which is okay. There's no judgment, and this is why it's really important to not judge ourselves. There's no judgment, because we cannot judge or shame ourselves into growth and into creating the life it is that we truly desire, right? So when we notice this going on, it's like, oh, no, don't want that. Okay, well, how can I flip that? What can I be grateful for? That's where I really first started, was gratitude. And I have an amazing book that I can share with you on gratitude. It's called The Magic. I'll share the book with you for free, the PDF. Just message me the magic book and I'll send it to you. And when I started to notice all of the and these thoughts of, like, there was once I was stuck behind a slow walker when I was on my way to work, and I got really pissed. I was like, why are you walking so slow? No. And, you know, this internal. And then I noticed that, and I remembered, okay, what I put out comes back. So I don't want to put out the anger. So what do I want to put out? Okay, I'm grateful that I actually have legs to walk. Even though I'm behind a slow walker, I can still walk, which is absolutely amazing, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that when we flip this, these negative thoughts around, that we have to put it towards that particular thing. It's no, we put it towards something else. So, for instance, I was angry at this slow walker because they were walking slow. However, I flipped that towards myself and the fact that I've got legs, right? And it's really all about cultivating an internal environment that feels good, because when we cultivate an internal environment that feels good, we become a magnet for all of the good things to come into our lives. And we are the magnet, we are the attraction point, and it's very, very, very important that we remember this. We get what we are, yeah? In respects to the frequency. So when I say we get what we are, I don't necessarily mean that if you're going through emotional or narcissistic abuse like I did, that I was an emotional abuser and a narcissist. No, I had a wound in me that was vibrating at the frequency level that attracted those people into my life, so I could heal that wound within me. Yeah, this is going off tangent, but I love to go off tangent and give you other things when I share transmissions. And what happens in our life is things and people and situations and experiences, when we're on this journey of conscious life creation, going towards what it is that we want, people, things and situations come into our life to support us in raising up to that frequency, so we can become an attraction point for that which we want. So they're either guiding us back to the power, well, they're always guiding us back to the power and the trust within ourselves by showing us who we are and how we're being, as well as the wounds that get to be alchemized and healed within us, so we can start to set boundaries and say no, 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 no. So back to the point of focus. If we want what we say we want, we must focus. Hello, whoever's hopped on. It's not told me who's hopped on. It's great to have you here. I'm sending you love. So going back to focus, where focus goes, energy flows. So when we're going after what we want, it's really important that we focus on what we want rather than what we don't want and what we don't like and meh. Because if we focus on what we don't want and what we don't like, we're going to get more of that. It really is all about focus. So this really, really comes down to awareness in the way that we're thinking and the way that we're operating. And when we notice ourselves thinking in a way that doesn't serve us and the creation of what it is that we want, we must do the work on a moment-to-moment, day-by-day basis to rewire and reprogram our mind. Because it's our mind that actually creates our reality. Thoughts become things. And it goes deeper into that, because it's not just like, oh yeah, say affirmations and it'll happen like that. No, because remember, we are the magnet. So thoughts become things because they become feelings, and feelings are energy in motion, emotion, energy in motion, which is the vibrational frequency that actually magnetizes what we want to us, right? So when we're thinking, and especially when we're doing affirmations and speaking what we want into existence, it's really important that we get our body and our nervous system on board. And you're going to know if it's on board because of the way that you feel. If you feel good, great. And if you feel convicted, great. And if you don't, that's also okay. You get to flip what you're saying to yourself to something that feels good for you, that doesn't feel like a lie. For instance, when I first started my journey, I was 3 dress sizes bigger, right? So for me to say I'm skinny and, well, I don't even want to be skinny. I wouldn't have even said that to myself. I'm sexy, for instance. I didn't feel sexy. So for me to say at the time I'm sexy, that was a lie, and my subconscious wouldn't have taken that in. And this is the whole point, is to reprogram our subconscious, because it's our mind, primarily our subconscious, that creates our reality, and brings what it is that we want into our field. So if I was to say back then, when I was 3 dress sizes bigger, I'm sexy, I wouldn't have believed it, and it wouldn't have happened. So the affirmation that I said to myself was, I'm losing weight and getting back into shape. And I would also sing it to myself as well, because when we sing affirmations to ourselves, it goes into our subconscious much quicker, because music is one of the best ways to reprogram our subconscious. This is why it's really, really important that you're very aware of the music that you're listening to. And typically the mainstream music that's being pumped out is not programming us in a very good way at all. So just be very aware of the lyrics that are going into your head right there. So yeah, it's the way in which we're thinking and the way in which we're approaching our life from a thought standpoint, but also from an energetic standpoint, is really important. And I teach all of this and more in my membership. This is simply a short insight into you and the way in which you're thinking. And I really, really encourage you to be aware of the way in which you're operating. And if you find that you're in a situation in your life right now where you're not happy and you're not excited and you're not living in the way that you desire, your money situation's not the way in which you desire it to be, your relationships are not making you happy, whatever that may be, if you find that you're in that situation, zoom out and really look at how you are playing your part in that. Because the sooner that you take ownership and accountability for the part that you're playing, the sooner that you take your power back, and the sooner that you're able to shift things. Because life, the universe, and people are responding to you. It's all you, baby. It's all you. And at first it's confronting for the ego, and the ego doesn't want to take that ownership and accountability that it's us. But it is. It's all us. It's all us. Like I said, when I first learned this information, I zoomed out and I looked at everything. I'd not long gotten out of an emotionally abusive and toxic relationship that left me in 32 grand's worth of debt. He fell off the face of the earth. He owed me half of that money. And I was in a really shit situation. I was depressed. I was anxious to a point where I was suicidal, drink and drug abuse, all of that stuff. So I get it, right? I get it. And when I learned this information, I zoomed out and I looked at everything, the way in which I was in that relationship with him. And all I would do was focus on, don't do that, I don't want you to do that, I don't like that, and then I laughed at myself, because I created the shit show that I was in. Because as confronting as it was also very empowering, because if I created that shit show, then I can create the magic. And magic I created. I've been living this life for 5 years, and it continues to expand and get better. The better it gets, the better it gets. And it really all comes down to what's going on in here, and what's going on in here, and what's going on in the nervous system as well, right? All over. You can feel it all over. So what do you want? Have you even taken the time and the space to really sit and think about what do I want? And if that's health, if that's freedom, if that's wealth, if that's happiness, that's great. However, that's just one word. Health, happiness, freedom, and wealth looks different for me than what it does you, looks different to Sally than what it does John. We all have our own definition of what that means. So it's really, really important, and I keep saying it's really important because everything that I'm sharing is really important. This whole fucking live is very important. It's really, really important that you become aware of what it is that you want. And the beautiful thing about knowing what you don't want is that it leads you towards what it is that you want. Okay, well, I don't want that. What do I want? When you notice yourself saying, I don't want that, I don't like that, simply ask yourself, well, what do I want and what do I like? Because that's how you're really going to become crystal clear on where you get to put your focus. Yeah? So take that time. And if you want guidance, if you want support, I've created a Creating Crystal Clarity Mindset Coaching course that's available within my membership. There's so much available in my membership. There's hundreds of videos, hundreds of hours worth of stuff that you can dive into that's going to help you with your personal growth, your spiritual growth, and also your business growth as well. And I give you a whole business model that you can plug into. You don't even need any products or any experience or anything. Everything's there for you. It's simply a case of learning the marketing skills and building a business around your personal brand, whatever that brand looks like. It doesn't even need to have a face. You can do a faceless brand if you want. It's really entirely up to you. And you get my touch point guidance as well within Telegram via Messenger. So yeah, what you want is available to you. It really comes down to where you're putting your focus and also where you're putting your energy and where you're putting your attention, and also showing up in the ways required, taking full ownership and accountability, because it's not just going to fall on your lap, right? For you to create better, you must become better. For you to experience different, you must become different. If you could get what you wanted now as the person that you are now, you would have it. For you to get what you want, to upgrade, you must shift who you are to become the upgraded version. And it's not necessarily saying that you need to change who you are. No, you're perfect exactly as you are. You just get to uncover the brilliance that is you by diving into your depths so you can rise to your heights. That's all it is. That's all it is. And when you're ready, and if you feel like I'm a teacher for you, if I'm speaking your language, I'm here. You get 33% off your first month on my membership with code NEWMEMBER. You can go to the link in my bio, or links maybe around, or you can message me directly. And yeah, there's a free training as well that's available that you can register for on Wealth Alchemy. So this goes deeper into what I've just been talking about, and it also shares the business model that I support people with too. So you can explore that to see if it's what you're about. Essentially, the business model, it's all about building your business based around what you're passionate about and what lights you up. And I really encourage you to lean into your creative ability, because that's where your genius is, and that's where you get to build a business that's truly fulfilling for you. And the beautiful thing about our business model is it evolves as you evolve, so it never gets boring. It's really fulfilling, and you really get to build a beautiful community as well of people that are on your vibe, and where you get to create and attract your soul tribe because typically we're born in a physical environment in our hometown and whatever, where yeah, we have friends, but are they really soul tribe, like heart tribe? Most of the time not. So when we really learn how to fully express ourselves and break through those barriers of fear that comes with fully expressing ourselves because of all of these limiting beliefs, when we really break past those barriers and show up unapologetically as ourselves, we then attract our real soul tribe, and then that's when life becomes really yummy and really beautiful. So this is essentially the journey that you'll go on with me, with my full support. So yeah, links are around. I love you, and I hope you have a really beautiful day. I'll see you on the internet.